Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with keyboardist, composer, bandleader, songwriter, producer, and educator, the great David Billingsley. He released his debut solo piano album on May 15th called Hymns from Grandma's Living Room, and he talks about it. Born in Racine, Wisconsin, and now residing in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this child prodigy made his debut as a professional musician at 11 and has worked for years in the studio, toured, educated, and launched several successful music businesses and community endeavors. He is the founder and executive director of a school called the Billingsley School of Music and Arts, which provides intensive music education to K-12 students who lack access to high-quality arts education. He's got a great story, man, so dig it.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm having a good day, doing good, getting it started. How you doing?
Yeah, we're getting after it, man. You know, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah. Thanks for reaching out, man. How did you hear about me and everything? You said, was it iTunes?
Man, yeah, and dude, when you put that post up on your page, I was showing my wife. I was like, you got to check this out. This guy sent requests to 300 stations, and just on a whim, I reach out. So yeah, man, that's a power higher than us. That's doing some work right there.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, so I did see you on iTunes, and I just and I read your bio, and you know there was just so much that made sense to me. I'm surprised that more people haven't reached out for your debut album, being a child prodigy, the amount of experience you've had since the 2000s. I would think that would be a slam dunk interview.
Yeah.
So
thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, man, hey, how are you holding up in the COVID-19 weird world that we're living in?
Great question. I'm holding up pretty good. You know, it's been a pivot time for me, and it's been a time to shift and figure out a new way to do things. And so far, so good, you know. Just adjusting, you know. Things are out of my control, so just trying to do the best I can with what I've been given. And so started a new business in the pandemic as far as being an artist and putting my music out there. And it's really paid off. I think it's been a really good thing, a blessing for people and a blessing for me as well. So I found that I had to pivot in this time, you know, and do something different as a musician and artist, because, you know, I'm normally on the road touring and playing music and doing things with large groups of people, and that's not possible. So turned to the internet, and I've been finding a lot of fans and listeners and people, you know, who are also quarantine looking for stuff. So, you know, looking for art and things to do. So it's been actually a really good quarantine for me, honestly. This is kind of my dream and what I've always wanted was the time. To me, that's what being a successful artist is having the time to make your art, you know, and to do what you're passionate about. So I'm finally getting a chance to do all these things, all these different creations that I had in my mind, and they're starting to come to fruition now, and it feels really good.
You know, I guess that's the thing that's bittersweet about this. You know, there might be something really special about releasing music during this time, kind of an indelible mark that's going to be left on people's minds. And I think, you know, people are going to have that latitude to delve into music, but you won't have that, you know, live aspect to back it up. But maybe, you know, maybe the good outweighs the bad with it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you said that, too, because that's what I've been finding is that the music that we release specifically is all hymns. So this is tradition. It takes you back to your grandma, your great-grandma, you know, your upbringing, memories, smells, food, all of that kind of stuff. And so what we're finding is that people are using this because to feel good, to feel better about their lives. One of my best friends, his mom, she just died recently of COVID, and he would just stream my album to her all day. And she would listen to that. He asked for a special version of What a Friend We Have in Jesus with like some New Orleans kind of, with a dance swing on it, kind of jazzy. And I sent that to her, and then she passed away. You know, and so that's the kind of work I'm doing right now. You know, that's kind of, you know, it's cool to be on the iTunes charts at number 4. We debuted on number 4 on the iTunes charts for the jazz category. You know, it's cool to, you know, these accolades and stuff and good reviews and positive press, but more than anything, I'm finding that this music is about helping people's lives and helping them find comfort, strength, and healing in these times. That's kind of what my grandma, when we opened the album, that's what she talks about. You're playing, revived me, restored me, brought about peace, and gave me strength until God calls me home. So that's really, she kind of gave me the blueprint, through that message years ago. And now I'm just kind of walking in it and fulfilling it. So my job is to give people peace, comfort, revitalization, and until God calls them home. That's just what I'm doing. So, it's been interesting. It's been a very different ride than I thought. I knew I was going to release this album. I didn't know it would be in a pandemic, and I didn't know what the need of the people would be. But it's very clear that this is helpful.
Well, and the one thing I keep thinking about too, especially in the realm of jazz, is that it's probably, from an artistic standpoint, one of the highest levels of improv, and this just has to play to the whole nature of the music in itself.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And that's kind of the blessing of the album. I feel like I played them traditional enough for you to understand and feel the song. Okay, yeah, I remember this song. This is the way it goes. But then once we put that improv on it and put our own stylings and own voicings and ideas on it, it turns into something completely different. And I think that's what people appreciate about the album, is that it's very traditional but also extremely modern at the same time. So we're just trying to, push the art forward and give people something new, as far as gospel hymns, that hasn't been done as much, gospel/jazz hymns, and so we're just trying to also educate people, and leave a legacy and a sound so that people have a blueprint to follow, almost like a fake book or, anything else. But this is more along this side of, the spiritual aspect of it. But it's still jazz, because it all comes from that same place, really.
This has obviously been in your blood for a long time. You're from Wisconsin, and, as your bio says, you're a child prodigy, and I know sometimes that can be problematic for some people because it sets up kind of that vault and that soapbox that could be just a lot of expectations. But realistically, you have been playing a lot of instruments from an early age. So talk to me a little bit about how these seeds of music began in your upbringing.
Well, I would say preschool, birth pretty much. At preschool, teachers were already sending reports home, noting my interest in music and how good I was at it and how I gravitated to it a lot. And so that was 4 or 5 years old. At 6 years old, my dad got me piano lessons because of the interest I had already had. I would go to church and I would just stare at the musicians while they would play. And I would imitate and mimic anything they did. The way they clapped, the way they moved, I did everything just like them, not even realizing I was just called to it, at such a young age, and that's what I was supposed to do, and I was attracted to it immediately upon seeing it. It was like love at first sight, and I haven't fell out of love yet. And so, started there. I would bring my toy saxophone to church, plastic, and I would play along with the musicians trying to be like them. I'd bring a tambourine sometimes, whatever I could to join in with the music, that communal singing and playing of instruments. Then I ended up, at my home church, I ended up playing the tambourine for years. I just wanted to be up there. I just wanted to be doing something musical. So I started on the tambourine, and then our organist at the church left around when I was 10 or 11. And they were like, all right, it's time for you to do it. So I was the main musician, and the small church in Racine, Wisconsin, Faith Church of God. That was my first professional gig. I was getting paid $25 a week at the age of 11 or 10 to play music, and it's been like that ever since. So then I started my own group. I was classically trained, got lessons and stuff. I quit classical lessons at 14 because I wanted to play jazz and gospel and improv. I like reading the music, but I wanted to play more what was in my heart. So I met a few teachers that were able to help me with that. Tim Johnson, Jim Saki taught me the jazz. Susan McKeever, they taught me, classical, jazz, and gospel, basically. Took that on to college. Also had a group in high school. We traveled a little bit. And went to Chicago, Arkansas. I was a kid, had a group writing my own songs and performing them across the country with a group of all my friends and musicians growing up at home. So that was fun too. Went to college and kept doing the music thing. Played for a gospel choir. Started a gospel choir in Eau Claire. We started with 0 members, got up to like 150 by the time I left there. So I've just always been building, and then continued during college. Went to the Twin Cities, played music there on the weekends. Got connected with the Sounds of Blackness and their Grammy winners, James Green Company, Darnell Davis and the Remnant. Started my own band, MPLS, and just really built. Kept building the brand, serving people, playing music, traveling when I could, when opportunities presented themselves. And then that eventually landed me with what I'm doing now, and that's since 2017 I've been playing with. To me, it's my ultimate gig. It's the best thing of my career so far, is playing with Stokely Williams. He's an R&B legend, and he's the lead singer of Mint Condition. He has now gone solo, and he's making his own music. He just got his first #1 on the billboards a few months back. And so that's what I'm doing now. We're traveling and doing that kind of thing. Right now, of course, we're not. But once this, lifts, we're going to be back out there sharing music all around the world again. So that's been my background. As a kid, I started in poverty. I started poor. And I just music was my medicine. It was my therapy. It was what made life better for me, easier, more able to cope and deal with it. And sharing that with people and allowing that to change their lives is what really, is what did it for me. And so I've just been doing music ever since. From nothing basically to a professional, and then not only that, now also doing my own music, and also have a school of music and art called the Billingsley School of Music and Arts. And what we do is we provide access to kids who can't afford it, kids who were like me. That's why I started the school. A lot of kids who were African American, Black growing up, I didn't see them in lessons with me. I didn't see them in the competitions. I was often the only one, and so it made me want to do something about that. And so since I've started teaching kids and teaching people. I have 2 professional keyboard players now who are playing in the field, one in LA, one right here in town, who got on Billboard with their songs. And so, now my goal is to just get 10 more of those kids and to keep pushing that brand as well, and to keep, giving more kids access to the art. So for me, it started as a kid and it grew into a profession where I'm, and I want to do the same thing for other kids. It's like how Mozart, he started at 3-4 years old. People started recording his compositions and writing down what he was doing, and you can build a career pretty early on. And so that's kind of what I want to do now for other kids. I didn't have that opportunity until now to put out my first album. I'm 35. I would love for a child prodigy to put out their first album when they're 10 or 15, or and so that people can see that growth, so they can grow with that artist, that fan base can grow, the revenue streams, all of that. I'm looking to bring kids out of poverty through music and through arts because it worked for me. And so that's basically my story. That's how I got started, and now this is what I'm doing to help the next generation and to give back and to make sure that, music never dies, jazz and gospel music, and then those roots that I have, that they live on forever through me, but also through the lineage of students that I'm teaching.
Well, the name of the debut CD is Hymns from My Grandma's Living Room, and obviously family and that lineage has been huge in your life. Talk to me a little bit about those influences, forces that have led you to who you are.
Yes, my village, they're from Racine, and my grandmother was the biggest part of my village. She raised me basically. My parents divorced when I was 1, and so she, I lived with her, and she taught me everything. She was an educator. She was a cook. She was a sweet woman. She was a leader in the church, did all the church plays, all the Sunday school stuff. That was all her. So we were there 15 minutes before everybody else, and she just taught me how to serve and how to help people, and I really credit the Black church with my upbringing. That's where I learned how to public speak. That's where I played Happy Birthday for the first time. That's where I played my first music. That's where, all of it happened right there. And so, I think of Sunday dinners. I think of fellowships that we used to have. All of that kind of stuff went into building me and who I am today. So I credit them, and that's why, I shot all the photos right in my childhood home and my childhood church, because for me as a Black kid growing up, that's what they used for us to stay out of trouble, to stay out of gangs, to stay out of drug life and all of that kind of stuff. They pointed us towards music and God, and it stuck with me. And so I'll forever be grateful for that. And this village, they continue to carry me. They're the ones buying my CDs. They're the ones that, are showing love, sharing what it is we're doing, and just so proud of what it is we are and the sound we made back then and able to access that again. So it's a nostalgia thing. But more than anything, the village is what has sustained me, and that's the way. It took 100 people to raise me. I mean, the Black culture is a little different how it works for us. And so I had a village. I had my aunties, my cousins, my brothers, sisters, my mom, my grandma, grandpa, cousins, friends. All these people made up my village because, that's just what it required and what it took. We lacked resources, and we had to pull all of that together to, create what it is we wanted to see in the world. And so that's what we've been doing. And so I'm proud of my village. They're proud of me, and we just want to continue on. And we know that we need each other, and that we're only here because of the help from our friends and our community. So, yeah, that's kind of my upbringing in the village and what they did for me.
Well, I guess that's the key in our world today. The thing that you hear most is that hopefully what this does. There's a lot of things I think that are going to come out of this. Mother Nature wins. There's a lot of things that are out of our control that we have to live with, and community is the main thing, looking out for each other, because that's the key to all of this. There's a lot of people that need help. There's a lot of people that require things that are going to help them exist in this world, and I think that's probably on a grander level what you're talking about.
Definitely. And that's what we're focused on now. So it's like, all right, we sold 150 CDs to people. Who else needs this music, and how can we get it to them? And so that's what we're thinking about now. Is next? What's next? Let's hit up the funeral homes. Let's go to the nursing homes. Let's go to the churches, the places where these people are. Who would resonate with this music and who would vibe with it. And hopefully it'll change their life in the process. So the music is definitely, it's great for us to do, but it's definitely a healing balm and a medicine that we use to help people during these times. Yeah, and we're finding that it's truly helping people. They're instrumentals, it's just piano, so piano album, and so it allows people to reflect, to kind of relax their minds, to be at ease and not so occupied with the pressures of the day, and the circumstances that we're going through. A nice escape and a chance to release some of those problems and worries to God and, that kind of thing.
Talk to me a little bit about what you like the best about being a musician.
What do I like best about being a musician? Wow, that's a great question. I would say what I like more than anything is the opportunity to help people's lives be better, to change their lives. I love to just share music, and I love to see how it brings all people together from all walks of life, different beliefs, different creeds, religions, all of that kind of stuff. Once you put out some music, it just changes the whole atmosphere, and it sets it up, just differently. And so that's what I love about music more than anything. Being a musician, I love traveling. I love to go to fun restaurants all over the world and eat yummy foods, see different cultures. That's one of the coolest things about being a musician, too. We see all walks of life. So definitely a different perspective on life and people and situations and all of that. We just see it from a different light, Yeah, we see so much. We see the wealthy. We see the poor. I like to do a little bit of everything. I like to play for all types of people so that it just makes me a more well-rounded person. And I think that's why musicians are so intellectual and so good with people and good in life, because, we've seen so much and we take from every experience that we see and we learn from it and then we use it. So those are the greatest joys of being a musician. I love to travel. I love to see things. I love to share with people, help their lives, and, go home to my family and support them after it's all said and done. It's really a beautiful exchange and a two-way street. And I love interacting with the fans, too, more than anything. That's one of the biggest things I love to do, is to hear from people, seeing how they feel about the music, suggestions they have. I'm just hitting them up, seeing how they're doing, checking in on them. I love the connection that I have with people right now through this music. That's been the biggest blessing.
So what was the first live show you saw that made you think, man, that's what I want to do with my life?
And Hank Jones. Like I said, I grew up in poverty, so I didn't go to concerts and stuff growing up often. Very rare did I do anything like that, or go to Milwaukee or some of the other bigger cities to see artists. So one time I was in high school actually, and I had just won an AXO competition, NAACP AXO. It's like a competition for youth people, for youth kids who are in the arts. And I went to nationals, but I met a guy named Thomas White. I'll never forget, and this is part of that village I was talking about. Thomas saw my gift. He kind of saw where I was headed, and he decided to buy tickets to go see Hank Jones, who has passed away now, but he was a legendary jazz piano player. Afterwards, we went up to him. He had me go on stage and take a picture with him, get his autograph, talk with him, and all of that. And that changed my life. I'd never, ever been in a concert hall in that way. And to see that performance, to see it just be a piano, and a few other, I think it was like a combo. And just to see that, and to see that this was possible, like, wow, a black man playing piano, in front of thousands of people, that can be your reality no matter where you come from. And so since then, that really sparked my dream, and that really sparked that goal of becoming that pianist that plays, and plays for people and helps folks out, but does it on a professional level. I've seen it in the black church, I've seen it in other ways, but in concert halls and universities and master classes, that's next level. And that's what I saw, and so that's what I've always obtained to try to reach ever since.
Man, that's a great story for sure. So we're going to get out of this COVID-19 world that we live in. We're going to get back onto the stage, and both musician and the crowd's going to get back. What do you hope we realize about this absence of live music? What do you hope we come back with, both as audience and musician?
A deeper appreciation for life and our blessings and what it is that life has been and what we have. I think now more than ever we realize that music is essential, that it's so important, that we miss it, and we can't wait to be back in the concert halls, can't wait to be back at the music festivals, to just not take things for granted anymore, and to really count our blessings and to be grateful for what it is we have. I think that's been the biggest lesson to me, is to just be grateful. We just have it really good. I didn't realize how good we had it, I guess, until now. I'm like, wow. Looking back at things, and life was so cool. It's like, almost like, wow, I can't wait to get back to this. I hope that this is possible again. And I just want to be back, because I think now we appreciate teachers more. We appreciate our frontline workers more, in the hospitals, our doctors and nurses, and our educators, our frontline people. I honestly appreciate the grocery store workers way more now. I thank them for their service like they're a war veteran almost, and so it's just to not take anything for granted. Don't take anything lightly, and know that we're all needed, and we need to appreciate what it is we have, because it's so special and so delicate and can be taken away so quickly if we're not careful.
So you obviously have your own school, and you're a well-educated man. What did your mentors teach you? What seeds did they put into you that have made you the teacher that you want to be for the kids around you?
That's a great question. Humility. Tim Johnson, my number one mentor, he always taught me to be humble, and to not allow things to get to your head. And that's been a big lesson for me, and a big lesson for my students. I teach them all the time. They'll come back and tell me, and once they're adults, oh man, Mr. B, you talking about being humble. That's so right. Like, I see now why that matters. Lessons that they used to teach me, just to play with feel, play with emotion, challenge yourself, constantly stretch, look for your weaknesses and find ways to expand on them. One of my mentors just told me for years, David, I'm waiting on your project. I'm waiting on your music. And for years, I was a musician. I was serving others. I was on tour. I was doing this and that. But he kept saying, I'm waiting on your music, Tim Johnson. I'm waiting on your music. I'm waiting on your music. And, so my mentors, they just speak life into me. They tell me not to give up, not to quit Stokely. He's a mentor of mine now, and he speaks life. He'll text me after a show or whatever, keep going, hang in there, avoid the fear frequency. That's another big one for me right now, is avoiding the fear frequency. That's what I learned from my mentors. Because you're going to doubt yourself. You're going to feel like you're not enough. You're going to feel judged. You're going to feel like people are not as receptive or warm to you as they should be, or whatever it is. And it's really not about us right now. We're in a pandemic, and people are doing the best they can to survive. And the blessings that you do receive, the support you do receive from fans and others is just an added bonus right now. You know, it's actually a blessing from God. It's not required. So just to be humble, to avoid the fear factor, and to put out music. Those were the biggest things that they taught me. And now I see the power in all three of those different concepts now, and how it's working for me. You know, I avoided the fear factor, and I did it anyway. I got 8,000 views on a live video that I did, you know. And so if I, you know, just listening to those messages, if I put out an album, we can go number 4 on iTunes within the first week, and we can stay on the charts all week. If I wouldn't have listened to them, none of this stuff would have happened. I would have never realized my potential and the power that music really has and how it can spread. You know, it's been really incredible to see that spread.
So everything's going to come down to this. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your students, your fans, but you're the one living your life. Who do you think you are?
I'm an evolving, constantly changing, perfectly imperfect human, doing the best I can, growing in wisdom and love every day, and trying to be the best person I can, regardless of whatever's thrown my way and whatever circumstances or burdens, self-inflicted or inherited. I'm just always trying to take it up, find a way to upgrade, find a way to better myself, better the people around me, better my community, better my friends. And then also just be and exist, and also be patient with myself and gentle and kind, you know. So I would say all of those things really kind of sum up who I am. So people will know, yep, David, he's not perfect, but he's sincere, and what he does, he works hard at it, and he's professional, and he tries his best, you know, and he gives it his best effort, and he tries to give you quality, and he tries to do things well and at a high level. I don't always succeed, but I'm definitely, that is definitely my mission and my goal always. And so, yeah, that's what I would say for that.
Right on, man. Hey, thanks, David, for taking some time out. Thank you for talking and opening up about your life and music during this very surreal time on the planet. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I really, really do.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to David for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.